is today's the review day. Okay, so we're gonna work on our half sheet notes, and then I don't have a review made for this chapter. What I did do is I made a delta math that will just kind of act in its place. So there's a couple of different categories, more than usual because there's no review. But it's just like, oh, I guess I have to do it this way. There we go. You know, it's like type of correlation, and you just like drop down, right? Easy to see, easy. Here's some information like which of the following is strong negative, right? Easy. Make a linear regression. Hey, Soph. That's okay. Make a power regression. Make an exponential, right? So more or less these are pretty straightforward delta math problems, just like using your calculator. So good practice for your calculator keystrokes. Again, if you're making up your half sheet, I would put the calculator stuff in there, like how the button sequences that I need. Yes, of course. The other thing that I would want to make sure that I have on my note card would be at the end of the lesson, we had this stuff in here about like how to decide what type of model, right? You remember doing this last time? That would be a good thing to have in there. And then anything else as you're doing the homework that you're like, ooh, that was a little weird, or that was a little tricky. I might want to write that down or whatever. Does that feel okay for you guys? Do you want to do some homework questions here before we break off? Hayden, what's up? Bree, is that a question or are you doing hair?
Oh, no.
Okay, no problem. I couldn't tell at first if it was a hand or hair or whatever that was. Boyd, what's up?
Can you go over 24, please?
24?
Yeah.
Sure. Actually, let's do it this way. Shh. Problems. Okay. All righty. So, ooh, boy, that's real little, huh? All right. So it says, yada, yada, yada. We're going to be using a logarithmic model to do this. So I'm going to start just by typing my stuff into my calculator. So I press Stat. And then from the Edit tab, I'll pick the Edit command. I'm going to clear out the data that was in there. And now notice 1.5 times 10 to the third. I can just type that in with the EE button.
But when I hit stat and then calculate logistic, it says domain error.
But it's not asking for a logistic, it's asking for logarithmic.
Oh.
So
okay.
that's a different model.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
So that's the LN reg, is what you're looking for there.
OLN.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll say that loud for everybody else also, because that's.
What you gonna say, loud boys?
All right. So we got our data put in.
For the lunch.
It then says we want a logarithmic model. So I exit out stat, calc. So the logarithmic model is LN reg, not logistic. Easy mistake to make. Of course. And I'll store that to Y1. So there's my logistic model or logarithmic model. That's excellent, right? The R value is great. It then says predict the magnitude if we had that powerful of an earthquake. So I'll do vars, Y vars, Y1 of 1.8 e to the 14th. So that'd be like a 10.7 magnitude earthquake, which is a like feels like the Earth's about ready to break in half and fall in on itself kind of level earthquake. Boy, does that feel good?
Yeah.
Excellent. At this point, I'm just going to let you guys work on your stuff. So work on your half sheet, work on the delta math. If you have other homework questions that you want to ask about, just come on up and bother me. I'm just going to be up here kind of working on my stuff while you guys are working on your stuff. Liv? Oh, sure. Yeah. Like number of questions and that stuff. Yeah. We can do that. I forgot all about doing that. Just pulse. All right.
So I figured out what the shortcut is for like it's like isn't it like Y1? But I can't find the button.
So vars, and then y vars function, and then y1 is right there. Now, did you store this when you made it?
I don't think so.
Because if you didn't store it when you made it, then it's not. The y1's not going to be there.
How should I?
So the easiest thing to do would just be to press like, oops, oh shoot. All right, so you do your ln reg, and you have the old operating system. So you're going to tell it the places to find the variables and then where to store it. And we're just going to put commas in between them. So if you look now, it stored it for us. Okay, which is great. So now if you do y1 of whatever that was, 1.8 e to the 14. So it just, you have the old operating system, it doesn't have the menu, but it's just like X's, Y's, store, just separated by commas. All right. So what do we got here? I got like... So I have 10 total questions. The first 3 questions are going to be asking you about a data set. So like, so I'm just going to ask you to write some models for a data set. You might have to decide like which model is best. of the ones that I ask you to write, and then like make a prediction with the best model. And then we have the next two questions about polynomial or not. And I'd ask you, like, give me the leading coefficient and the degree if it is a polynomial. You have two questions like 5 and 6 from the homework. Yeah, those are just Lin-Reg questions. Yep. You have another data set question.
Wait, why wouldn't this be this?
So just another question about building and using a model for from a data set. I have a question where I give you like some pictures of some scatter plots and ask you the best type of model to use. You don't actually have to do anything. You're just looking at the picture and deciding. And then I have like one question about when is a prediction reliable, or I should say reliable / unreliable. So that's basically the gist of it. So let's talk about this last question here real quick, because this is something that on the homework quiz we didn't do a great job answering. What two things do you need to have for a prediction to be reliable?
Strong correlation.
Okay, you need a strong correlation, so your R value has to be good. What's the other thing you need?
Let me get to it real quick. Use interpolation.
Yeah, it has to be interpolation, right? So you have to have those two things for it to be reliable. If it's unreliable, either one or both of those things could be bad, right? If you have a bad model, because your R value is lousy, but you're doing interpolation, doesn't matter, that's unreliable. Or if you have a good model, but you do extrapolation, that's still bad, that's unreliable. Or if they're both lousy, or you have bad data or a bad model because the R value is bad, and you extrapolate, that's bad too, right? So like, that's the gist of that. And again, on the homework quiz, that was like a mixed bag of how successful you were at kind of answering those questions, but you'll see that again on the test. Liv, does that feel good enough? Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm going to pause this.